Hi, today to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm so glad. So before I get started, just a couple few things I'd like to go over with you very quickly. So for your safety, my safety, and the safety of all of our animal friends, please make sure that we remain fully seated throughout the duration of our trip, and that we're keeping our hands, arms, feet, and legs fully inside the vehicle at all times. And if you look up on above your head, you see the animal spotting guide that has every single animal hanging out here on the reserve. And although I cannot promise you will see all of them, if we work together, I'm sure we will have some pretty good luck. Now we're heading on into the Little Turi Forest. And the Little Turi Forest is home to some of the shyer animals that hang out here on the reserve. And they're very good at something called camouflage. Now, does anybody know what camouflage means? Their ability to blend in, yeah. If you look over to the right-hand side, I see an animal doing a pretty good job at blending in right now. Can you see them? All the way in that back, in the front corner on the right. Here, let's get past these bushes. Can you see him now? Now that is the okapi. And because of those stripes, you might be thinking, are they related to a zebra? Well, the okapi is actually a relative of the giraffe. And the way that we can tell this is because both the okapi and the giraffe have something called a prehensile tongue. That means that their tongue acts the same way that our fingers do, and they allow the okapi to reach all the way up into leaves and branches and grab down a little snack to eat. Coming up on your left-hand side is the black rhino. The black rhino is actually the smaller species of rhino that live out here on the reserve, and they only weigh about 3,000 pounds. So they're just a little guy, right? Only 3,000 pounds? Now, does anybody know how to tell the difference between a black rhino and a white rhino? I'll give you a hint. It's not the color. Any guesses? The mouth. Yeah, you're actually correct. So the way that we tell the difference between a black rhino and a white rhino is their mouths. The black rhino has a pointed mouth, plus the white rhino has a wide and flat mouth. On your left-hand side, sitting down over there, are some bongos. And coming up as well on your left-hand side is a greater kudu. Now, do you guys see how the bongos and the greater kudu were kind of tricky to see at first? That's actually because of their stripes. So animals that live in a forested environment like this that have stripes like the bongo and the greater kudu do, there he is right there on the left. Can you see him? Those stripes actually mimic the effect of light and shade filtering into the leaves and branches of the trees. So, when the bongo or greater kudu is hanging out there, it might look like light is going right through, and there's actually nobody there at all. As we're heading on the Little Turi Forest into the Shafi River, keep an eye out for some of the more aquatic friends that might be hanging out over here. Oh, I can see some already. Coming up on your right-hand side are some pink-backed pelicans. Now, does anybody know how the pink-backed pelican gets their name? Any guesses? Because they have a pink back. Wow, who said that? So the pink-backed pelican gets their name from that pink back that they have, which actually gets a whole lot brighter during mating season. Kind of like the pelicans are blushing. Coming up on your left-hand side, you're going to see a Nile hippopotamus popping up to say hello. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. You guys see all the Nile hippos? Now, you're getting a pretty good example right now of the fact that hippos don't know how to swim. Despite living in aquatic environments, hippos can't swim. So instead of swimming, what they do is they walk along the bottom of the river. Hippos can walk pretty fast along the bottom of the river. They can walk anywhere from 8 to 15 miles an hour underwater, and their big size helps them cut through any water resistance. Coming up on your left-hand side are some Nile crocodiles. The Nile crocodile has the largest bite strength of any animal out here on the reserve, with a bite strength of around 2,000 pounds of pressure per every square inch. This means that they can bite through just about anything. Now, although they have that super strong bite, they can also be very gentle. Does anybody know how a chicken incubates their eggs? By sitting on them, right? Do you ever know how a crocodile incubates their eggs? In their mouth, yeah. Oh, you guys are good. So the crocodiles actually incubate their eggs in their mouths. Both the male and female crocodile will do this. And this even extends between the crocodiles, your little bitty babies. If there's any danger in the area, baby crocodiles will hop on into their mom or dad's mouth to stay nice and safe. That big old tree on your right hand side is the baobab tree. The baobab tree is also known as the tree of life, and they get this nickname because for a whopping 9 months out of the year, they do not have any leaves on them. Now this lack of leaves actually does something very important, and it helps the baobab tree to conserve water. Baobab trees are super duper good at conserving water. So good in fact that animals that live out here on the reserve, if they're being thirsty, can go up to the baobab tree to get a drink. As you're heading on into the Savannah Overlook, you're going to get a pretty good view of who's hanging out here today. Let's see, do you guys see anybody yet? Coming up on your right hand side are some very special guests. Can you see them? Or well, they're not guests, they live here. The baby zebras. Coming up on your right are some baby Hartman's mountain zebras. We're going to loop back around and I'll tell you a little bit more when we get there. But there's also some wildebeest. Wildebeest are migratory herd animals, which means that they all move together in one big old group. Every year the wildebeest make a big migration across Africa. This migration is made up of about roughly 1.5 million wildebeest. And they can travel anywhere from 500 to 1,000 miles across Africa. So, imagine this, you and 1.5 million of your lucky family members going from New York to Florida. Over on your left hand side in that pool of water is a hyena. Let me see if I can get you a better view of her. Can we see the hyena? Now hyenas live in something known as matriarchies, which means that the girl hyenas are always the ones that are in charge. Even the youngest, I know, girl power, right? Even the youngest female hyena outranks the oldest male hyena within their pack. Those big old mounds of dirt that we're driving by are termite mounds. Termite mounds can get to be as hard as concrete, and some of the bigger animals out here on the reserve like these are my back scratchers. Do you guys have any guesses as to what's big enough to use a termite mound as a back scratcher?
We are holding for the baby zebras. They are really, really close to the road, and I do not feel comfortable going
Any guesses? You have to be a big animal, right? What about a giraffe? Yeah.
Okay, this is West Truck. I'll be there in just a moment to help guide you.
Now I think we're hanging out here for a minute. We got some babies hanging out right in front of us, so I think
10-4.
we're gonna have our friend. Help the babies around. How's everybody's day going? Good? Great? Yay. Is this anybody's first safari of the day?
Second.
Yeah? Is this anybody's first safari ever?
Yes.
Oh, well it's mine. Right up ahead, we got the baby zebras. They're a little bit in the right path, so they're moving out the way. Let's see.
14. I got last call.
10-4, thank
Coming
you.
up, you guys are about to get an amazing view of these baby zebras. Now, baby zebras have a super neat adaptation. As you know, no two zebras are exactly the same. So, baby zebras can actually imprint on their parents' stripe patterns in order to pick them out from the herd. A herd of zebras. Does anybody know what a herd of zebras is called? Any guesses? They're called a dazzle of zebras. This is because their stripes actually create an optical illusion that looks like it's sparkling in the sun when a big group of them are all together. There are two little babies and the two mamas. These babies are only a couple of weeks old, so they are new additions out here on the reserve. And these are some Hartman's mountain zebras. Coming up on your right-hand side are some more wildebeest hanging out over there.
There's some clunking underneath my truck that's been getting worse.
And coming up on your right-hand side, left-hand side, my bad, ours is a tower of Maasai giraffes. And the way that we can tell that they're Maasai giraffes is actually from their patches. So the Maasai giraffe patches have a bit of a rougher edge around them as compared to their counterpart, the reticulated giraffe, whose patches have a smoother edge to them. Now, a giraffe can be anywhere from 18 to 20 feet tall, and when a baby giraffe is born, they're born at about 6 feet tall, which is taller than I am, so that is one big old baby. Now, do you guys notice how all these giraffes are doing the same thing? Eating, right. So giraffes can spend about 20 hours a day just eating. Ooh, over on your left-hand side is an eland. Now, giraffes eat so much that they have to have a special adaptation. Does anybody know what that adaptation is? What color is a giraffe's tongue? Purple. Does anybody know why their tongue is purple? It's actually purple so they don't get sunburned. Giraffes eat so much every day, if their tongue was pink like yours or mine, they would get sunburned on it because that's how much they eat. Now, it looks like an animal went up to this baobab tree and used their big tusk to poke holes in it and get a drink. Now, you have to be a pretty big animal to do that. Do you have any guesses what animal could have took a drink from this tree?
Elephant.
I don't know. Over on your left-hand side, I think there's our culprit over there. The African elephant. Can you see him? When we see a group of elephants that's all together like that, it's pretty safe to assume that they are all female elephants. This is because elephants, similar to the hyena, travel in something known as matriarchies, in which the oldest female elephant is generally the one that is in charge. Once the male elephants reach a certain age, they tend to be a lot more solitary, and they will go off all on their own. Although, every now and then, they're known to form something called a bachelor herd, which is a group of about 1 or 2 male elephants. Although these bachelor herds don't last for very long. And up on your left-hand side are some greater flamingos. The greater flamingo is the largest species of flamingo, which has something to do with why they're a bit of a lighter pink than what we're used to, right? Now, does anybody know how flamingos get their color? Shrimp, yeah! Ooh, you guys are good! So, flamingos get their color from shrimp, and flamingos eat a special kind of shrimp called brine shrimp. Brine shrimp has a protein in it called beta-carotene. Oh my goodness, guys, look at the elephant, look at the flamingos, wow. That's gorgeous. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Brine shrimp has a protein in it called beta-carotene, and that beta-carotene is what gives the flamingos their iconic bright pink color. Since the greater flamingo is the largest species of flamingo, they require a higher concentration or a larger amount of that beta-carotene protein in order to get to that nice and bright pink that we all know and love. Now, does anybody know what a flock of flamingos is called? A flamboyant. Ooh, you guys are really, really good. So a flock of flamingos is called a flamboyant. A flamboyant fellow of flamingos. Resume from Safari 37.
Quarterback.
I just wanted to let you know that I was holding for some white rhinos right over these black cattle guards for about 45 seconds.
I don't care.
Alrighty, so we'll do some white rhinos. Now the white rhino is actually the largest species of a rhino. And the way that we can tell them apart from the black rhino, does anybody remember? Their mouth, yeah! And that's also how they got their name. So, the white rhino has that wide and flat mouth. Now, the Afrikaans word for wide is weit. When settlers came in and they heard the word white rhino, which is that wide mouth that they have, they misunderstood and thought that people were saying white rhino. Because clearly those rhinos were not white, right? Over on your left-hand side, all the way in the back, can you see them? Cheetahs. You see them walking around? Cheetahs are the fastest land mammal, and they can go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just about 3 seconds. Cheetahs have a super duper neat adaptation, which is that they have non-retractable claws. This means that they can keep their claws out all the time, and they kind of act like cleats for a football player. Over on your left-hand side are a couple of water bucks. And we're coming up on some Kopi rocks. Does anybody know what kind of animal lives in Kopi rocks? Any guesses? Lions. Can you see the lions over on the left? Although my friends, make sure we are all fully seated. Even my little friends, we gotta remain fully seated. This is a very bumpy ride. So these are some lions. Lions spend anywhere from 16 to 20 hours a day just sleeping or resting. And there's only 24 hours in the day. So these lions spend the majority of their day resting. Lions do all of their hunting at night. At night, a lion's eyesight is 6 times better than a human being. And the female lion will go out to hunt, plus the male lion will stay home and protect their pride. Now those water bugs that we saw back there have a super neat adaptation because they live in aquatic environments. They actually secrete oil from their skin, which makes them hydrophobic. Now does anybody know what hydrophobic means? Repels water, yeah. So, you know the way that rain and water would just kind of like beat up and roll off of your raincoat or your rain boots? It does the same thing with the water bug's fur. Now I heard some rumors that there were some ostrich eggs over here. I haven't seen them yet, but if you guys see them, let me know, okay? Oh, there they are on the right-hand side. Ostrich eggs. Now, those eggs are pretty big. Does anybody know how many chicken eggs go into an ostrich egg? Any guesses? Oh, take that and double it. 24 chicken eggs could fit into one ostrich egg. What about how many ostrich eggs could fit into a chicken egg? 0. Oh man, I thought you were gonna trick somebody. Now, does anybody know what can run faster, an ostrich or a rhino? Oh, you guys are too good. An ostrich can run about 40 miles an hour, while a rhino can only run about 35. And what we're saying only 35 is if I can't run more than like what, 2 miles an hour, maybe on a good day if I'm trying really hard. Coming up on your left-hand side are some of my favorite animals out here. The Nigerian dwarf goats. Look at how cute they all are hanging out. Nigerian dwarf goats are teeny tiny, but they're actually fully grown. And they have a super duper neat adaptation, which is that they have one stomach with 4 chambers. This one stomach with 4 chambers means that the goats can eat just about anything. Although, it looks like our journey is coming to an end, my friends. Aww, I had so much fun hanging out with all of you guys. Did anybody get to see their favorite animal? Yeah? Now that we saw all these beautiful animals, I hope that we also remember their stories. Because sadly, a lot of our animal friends that we saw out here today are endangered, which means that they might not be around for too much longer. If you'd like to help out, I would highly recommend making a donation to the Disney Conservation Fund at any merchant station within the park. Every donation made will be matched dollar per dollar by the Disney Corporation, and you'll get a snazzy new pin out of it. Now, what were some of your favorites? The lions? What else?
Baby zebra.
Oh, the giraffe, the baby zebras. What about the goats? Does anybody favorite the goats? Yeah, they're my favorite too. You guys have amazing taste. What about the flamingos? Anybody like the flamingos? Meh. Well, here on the reserve, we don't like to say goodbye because it sounds so sad and so final. So I just like to leave you with one of my favorite Swahili words, which is Kwaherini. And Kwaherini means to go well. Once again, my name is Charm, just like the bracelet, and I hope that you guys go well and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for coming on here and hanging out with me. Aw, thank you. I'm glad you guys like the goats too. Aren't they just so cute?
Reserve from Safari 26. I have red flashing lights at load 2. Turn 9.
Alrighty, my friend, on that right hand side, watch your germs feet and legs be sliding open. Bye guys, have a good evening. Bye. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, okay.